No, well, I don't. I understand that there are privileges. I have a privilege because I'm an alpha. You know what I'm saying? I created that privilege for myself because I went and did some shit that niggas wouldn't do. You know what I mean? So now I have a network of motherfuckers that's got my back for life. You know, that's a privilege of mine. But I feel like there's a privilege that's given to a certain demographic that's not given to me because I'm another different type of demographic. I feel like white privilege doesn't necessarily have to be because police are not stopping white people more than black people. It's like, I feel like white privilege even goes as far as it's immigrants who come over into the United States and the life that they want to model behind is like the quote unquote white life, to where it's like, you know what I'm saying, they go to the best schools and become doctors and pay student loans and get good credit and be able to move into these nice neighborhoods. And then boom, that's like, in our minds, you know what I'm saying, the minority, we feel like that's a whole bunch of more people who's pretty much getting like this quote unquote white life, this quote unquote white privilege, because the Asian can migrate over here, go to school, get the funding, all the FAFSA and all of the scholarships, go to the best school, get the doctor's degree, get the best job, and then go live in the neighborhood to where they tucked and they nice and they good, and the sheriff's department is going to monitor their neighborhood, and the sheriff's department ain't going to see, if I call 911 in the hood, I ain't going to see that motherfucker for an hour. You know, the Asian.
Hey, nah, that's real shit.
The Asian
bro, like my house got robbed back in the grill, bro, and the police took an hour, bro. I live 10 minutes down, 5 minutes down from the police station. Where's my grandma?
I don't feel like,
come on,
just me personally, I don't feel like white privilege is as far as, it's so many different ways that
it's not limited to one.
It ain't limited like that to me. So that's why I choose not to talk about it, because there are many different ways that I feel like systematically that we are fucked with. So,
yeah, I just want to make one point, Edward. 1 point. I think my issue, right, is really exactly what you just explained, Sedacious. We call what you just explained is middle and upper class privilege. We call it white privilege. Right? That's what you just explained. You just explained middle class and upper class privilege. And for whatever reason, we continue to only think of upper class and middle class as white, when that is not the truth. Asians and African immigrants are dusting white folks, and they are making up the bulk of the middle class right now and getting into the upper class. Right.
They're the ones that actually are working, and white folks are thinking they're entitled to it. So they're laying back to where, boom.
I mean, I don't.
To a certain
extent. I can't.
To an idea.
But what I'm saying is, our minds have been conditioned to think that, okay, hey, that lifestyle that you just described, that middle class to upper class lifestyle that you just described, oh, that's white. Mm-hmm. That what you just described, the quote unquote American dream, oh, that's white. When actually the face of that is Asian immigrant, African immigrant, really just immigrant, period. Mm-hmm. People who are not born here or who are second generations here, they're the ones who are getting that. And then everybody else that's here getting left behind. And we still like to say that, okay, that's the white thing. And that's where I have just so much disagreement, because it's like, bro, we're missing it. We're missing it. We're missing the boat when we classify that as white, and then it's like, okay, hey, well, that must be something that's not for us.
So let me ask you something. Who controls what the immigrants come over here and are privy to? Who controls that? Do we control that? Do the minorities control that, or do the white people control that?
I would say that
because loans like FAFSA, scholarships, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? When immigrants come over and they get the visas and shit, black people don't own the visa companies and nothing like that. We don't own the banks who do the investments and do the scholarships.
There are black owned banks that give out loans.
No. There are, but the majority, like what's like
sure. The majority.
So since it's the white people who control the American dream, and it seems like we've been living with y'all as black people for forever, and y'all have been doing the best y'all can to make sure that we work double time to get to the American dream. When these motherfucking immigrants come over from out of wherever they come from, y'all just hand them their motherfucking American dream, and then they instantly go ahead.
Fun fact: the Bank of America started off originally as the Bank of Italy.
Oh, that's hard.
Thank you, Edward.
Well, I mean, but yeah. So the story of that is it was Italian immigrants who weren't allowed to bank at other banks, so they started their own bank, and they became more successful, and so they became Bank of America. So then just go back to the immigrant.
Isn't that ironic? When some shit is going good, white people come in and swoop it up and put their stamp on it and try to control it.
Okay, but if you understand the history of quote unquote whiteness in America, Italians were not considered white when they first got here. That's the reason why they weren't able to bank.
Brother, I had 15 seconds taken. You couldn't even let me get it out. It's okay.
Where's Edward at? He left.
I don't know where he went.
He's right there. You can hear him. He's there.
I'm still here.
My bad, Shine Hard. Oh, so back to your point, though, Sedacious. To your point, if people have done is they looked at this. Black-owned banks, as far as giving out loans to black people versus white-owned banks, right? White-owned banks, if you just look at it, hey, if I'm just a black person, I just want to get a loan, you are more likely to get a loan from a white-owned bank than a black-owned bank, right? Why that is, white-owned banks, most of them are larger, right? They're able to take the risk, right? That most black people who don't have good credit, right? They're able to take the risk that black-owned banks that are smaller are not able to take, right? So it's not a race thing when it comes to the finance, at least for right now, right? Now, what happened throughout history, that's a different story. But for right now, right, the only color that matters to especially bankers is green. And if me giving you a loan is going to help me get more green, I'm going to give it to you, right? Based off of X, Y, and Z. And if you meet X, Y, and Z, no matter what your color is, I'm going to give it to you, right? Which is why even the blackest of black people, African immigrants that come over here with good credit scores, they get the stuff. Okay? So for those white people who've been trying to hold black people down, for some reason, they don't want to hold African immigrants down, right? So that we have to figure out a way, okay, how does that, if our priors say that these white folks don't want black people to succeed, but for some reason they're allowing African immigrants to come and succeed, why is that? Something's not congruent there.
Wait. So would it not be because of racism? I'm confused. Is it because like they don't classify Africans from, who come from, like, what I'm saying, Kenya and Nigeria.
They would be classified as black?
No. So because they don't even classify themselves as black.
White folks call them black, call them niggas.
No. African thinks themselves to be a higher class of a person.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Yeah, but white folks don't call them a nigga regardless.
Yeah, I'm saying if a white person, especially too, if it's a second generation person, so someone who's born here, right, whose parents are immigrants here, right, so they look just like us, right, talk just like us, dress just like us, listen to the same music that we listen to, right? They go into a bank. The quote unquote racist white banker can't tell if it's an African or if it's just a regular American black person.
Okay, so your setup was, just to make sure your setup was clear, your setup was the bank has already given this African American's parents a loan. And
No. My setup is for their child.
So you're saying that the Africans who have a child and goes to the bank is gonna produce the same child from the parents in the hood in poverty to go to the bank. So that's the setup, because that's what the comparison would have to be for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
who's in the African home, who knows English and doesn't have the African accent, right?
Yes, exactly.
But
that's what I'm talking about.
He's had the upbringing and everything like that of his immigrant parents who worked their ass off and all that shit, right?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Versus someone who's coming from history, who's someone coming from history in his own country that's already been stacked up against him. Because now we're talking about somebody from my neck of the woods, which is a regular black guy from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that they're the same person going to
what I'm trying to speak to, Sedacious, is from the view of the white person behind the counter. Those two people look exactly the same.
No, see, but they don't talk the same.
He can't distinguish. He can't distinguish from those two by just looking at them.
Yeah, right.
And hearing them talk. That's what I'm talking about.
But see, that's what I feel. I feel like the person I'm talking about won't even make it to the bank, bro. He won't even think. His lineage will not tell him go to the bank, get a loan,